Hello, and welcome to Star Trek Wars, Picard Edition. I'm your co-host, Jordan, and joining me today, it's Joselyn. Joselyn, it's unfortunate, but I feel obligated to perform a PSA, given the recent Tide Pod incidents. Please do not ingest lithium-ion batteries or their contents. As a medical professional, Joselyn, do you have anything to add?
I would say the only thing worse than being a up-and-coming Borg queen eating ion lithium batteries would probably be being a dude who smokes cigars. So I would put them in the same kind of category of dangerous behavior, yeah.
Okay. So if Rio smokes like a lithium-ion cigar...
Right.
Yeah.
That's just, I mean, you're asking for it at that point. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Then we'll know he's been assimilated.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, Jocelyn, well, we're here to discuss Star Trek Picard Season 2, Episode 8, entitled Mercy, for some reason. It's written by Cindy Appel and Kirsten Beyer and directed by Joe Mendez. With time running out, which I think is the summary of every episode of Discovery and Picard for the last 3 seasons. With time running out before the launch of the Europa mission, Picard and Guinan must free themselves from FBI custody. Seven and Raffi come face-to-face with Jurati and the horror of what she's become.
What did you just call her?
The horror of what she's become.
What did you just call me?
It's a hard word to say.
It is. It's really... Language is hard.
Unintentional. Well, Jocelyn, what were your first impressions of this week's episode?
First impression, I got more of the characters in this show. I think almost every character had like some highlight or some role to play, some lines to line, which was great. We even got some... What's his face with the long hair who hasn't been on in so long? I can't remember his name.
Elnor?
I was going to say Elfie, but I think
Close enough.
Elfie would be the celebrity couple's name if Elnor and Raffi ever got together.
Oh, God.
It'd be Elfie. It would be problematic for a number of reasons, but the celebrity couple name is not problematic at all. Love it. Yeah, we got a lot of the characters, and that was great, and I enjoyed that. And then also, yeah.
Okay.
That's all I'll say.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure. I thought you were just thinking of, there were so many things to choose from. I didn't know if you knew where you were going next, but we'll go to my first impressions, I guess. And, yeah, I don't know if there was highlights or lowlights for each character, just lights. I mean, every character had something. There's a few moments here. I feel this episode did a better job of progressing the story and tying together some story elements, but it was a very slow start, and I think that they continue to add storylines that are not adding to the overall plot and development of the development of the plot right now.
Yeah.
And choosing to focus on things that I just don't care about at times.
Right.
So there's definitely some good this week. I don't know if this week was better than last week's episode. I might have enjoyed it slightly more, but we'll get to that right now in our pros, Jocelyn. What did you like about this week's episode?
There was quite a bit to like, honestly, like individually. I liked... I thought it was Raffi kind of came alive a little bit in this episode and like had some really great exchanges with Seven. I enjoy their dynamic together. I enjoy them as a couple. I enjoy when they're not a couple because then there's some like tension there, which is also good for the dialogue and the plot. And I feel like they kind of got to some things in this episode between the two of them that were very good. Raffi kind of admitting that she manipulates people. Seven having to reconcile the fact that she enjoyed parts of being one of the collective, which, you know, there's a lure to it. It feels nice to belong. You know, everyone likes to be in a club. No one likes to be left out. So I get that. But the best line Raffi had this episode was her calling out the people of 2024 for not being able to handle revolving doors.
Pretty good.
That was pretty good. I would add escalators in there as
Moving
well.
Sidewalks.
Yeah, just basic existing is very hard for us in this reality. I don't, we're only in 22 right now. 2022? Yep. That's the year we're in. Thank you for clarifying. But I don't see us getting much better at revolving doors by 2024, so I find this to be very accurate as well. Speaking of interactions, I liked the interaction between Q and Guinan. They're two pretty, prominent and powerful beings in the universe. I find Guinan to be much more, reserved in her power, and then Q is just quite, open and gregarious with it.
Yeah, he's flaunting it.
He's flaunting it, which if you got it, if you have the ability to manipulate time space, why not use it? But, of course, he's lost his powers because we find out he's dying. Which I knew he was losing his powers, but, him becoming essentially mortal and having a lifetime, that's finite, is interesting. It's an interesting concept, and I don't know that I fully understand why this is happening, but their exchange just had a little more depth to it. Getting to that point, I have some comments, but we'll save that for the cons. But I did kind of enjoy that. But I think the best thing in this entire episode, once again, and for all time, is Jurati. She plays a character that is Jurati, and now that she's become one with the Borg Queen, she actually sounds like the Borg Queen.
Yeah.
When she's delivering her lines, it's with the same cadence, it's with the same inflection, and it's not it seems so easy for her, which is really nice to see someone who's just at ease in the character they're playing. And I imagine, and this could just be my imagination, that she is loving it. She can assimilate now, which is super scary and fun. And then also, and just the best part of the best part is that she's still wearing the red dress that I love.
Yes. But
she found herself some combat boots to put on with it, and now I can hardly stand how much I love her outfit. I'm almost rooting for her at this point because she looks so good. And I'm can I be a part of the collective? Would it be cool if could I be assimilated? I don't know. I've never been more assimilation curious than I am right now. So, yeah. But she's stealing the show. She's stealing every scene.
Yeah, when she's on the show.
When she's on the show. Her eating the car battery, she turns around and she's got motor oil around her mouth.
She had about 4 minutes in the last 2 episodes of screen time. So.
I know. It's so strange because did they just not know that she's the best part of what they have, right? I don't know.
It's just issue when you have so many plot lines as far as synchronizing the flow of all the plot lines.
Yeah.
You certainly will have characters that have to stand aside and have that plot slowed to a halt so other things can catch up, which is kind of where they got to in this point where they're starting to merge them all together. But
yes.
It's a little bumpy getting there.
It's a little bumpy. I like the effort, though. I see the effort. I applaud the effort for sure. This episode was the first episode that I felt like I really, really enjoyed the dynamic between Rios and the Doctor. It's almost a neutral zone for me because it didn't quite land. It's you're on a starship dock. You shouldn't be this cool with it, especially with your kid being on a starship. This is gonna, if the FBI agent is any indication, this is gonna mess him up going forward.
Yes, exactly. What a perfect contrast.
Yeah, it was kind of maybe not the best choice to put those two plot lines adjacent to each other. I don't know.
Yeah, but the Vulcans didn't give that kid any cake. That's the real problem.
My problem is those are the only kinds of cake you have. The exact same cake in just 4 different colors.
Yeah, that's a problem.
I mean, there's so many other cakes. Where was the German chocolate cake? Where was the cheesecake?
Yes.
Where was the Italian wedding cake? Carrot cake?
Ooh, those are all winners.
All these cakes that I didn't see represented. So, tired of us ignoring these other cakes, just because they're not as popular as white or chocolate or red velvet or whatever the other one was. Banana Fosters?
Yeah. Like
lemon meringue? And that's
Where's
a
the ice
pie.
Cream? Where's the ice cream to go with the cake?
Where's the ice cream to go with the cake? He's just eating it dry?
Yeah, dry cake. No milk either? He's going to choke. His mom's a doctor.
He's going to choke. It's a choking hazard, basically. That's why his stomach didn't feel well.
Yeah.
He had nothing to mellow it out.
Exactly. Yeah, I know my
Like a
stomach feels better
barbarian.
when I have ice cream with my cake.
Exactly. Yes. It
And a
just
glass of milk.
softens everything.
More dairy, the better.
Doesn't lead to any problems for me. I'm lactose incredibly tolerant. Everyone knows that about me.
I'm lactose semi-tolerant. Eating lactose is normally fine, but
I'm
it's
not
like playing Russian roulette with my bowels.
I'm not just lactose tolerant. I'm pro-lactose. I'm out there advocating for I only vote pro-lactose.
I go to marathons and hand out glasses of milk.
That's what you need when your body's working hard.
You need the calcium.
Okay,
or
no
Kelsey,
lie.
Yum yum.
Yeah, Kelsey, yum.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
None can
No,
have a
no
little...
lie though. I am so unmotivated by working out, just essentially. But I don't want my body in my elderly years to just disintegrate into a pile. So I use chocolate milk as a motivator. I only have chocolate milk after I have worked out, and I rationalize it in my mind as this is what I need. My body needs this after working so hard.
Chocolate milk?
Yeah, chocolate milk because it has a little bit of the sugar
It's
in
actually
it.
not bad to do that after you work out.
No, I think it's good.
Yeah.
I've heard nutritionists and workout people, I don't know, trainers talk about it because it's high in protein or whatever. I mean, objectively, it's not the greatest thing, but it's a good motivator for me. And if that's what I have to do to get on the Peloton for 30 minutes, I'm going to do it. Anyway, moving on, neutral zone wise.
Yes. Neutral zone wise, I'm supposed to be at the gym right now, technically this afternoon. And I have...
Oh, you're not going to get any chocolate
I
milk.
have one vehicle. Actually, my battery was messed up partially. I don't know what all was wrong with my car because it smoked and I think the starter went out. But maybe
it
someone
smoked
ate
a
my
cigar
battery.
and now it's riddled with disease.
I think
That's
so.
consistent with what I understand.
I think so.
Okay.
So I was like...
Or Girardi ate your battery?
I think so.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It explains a lot.
It does explain a lot. Okay, sorry about your car. She didn't bother with my car because it's so old. There's nothing.
There's no ions left in that lithium.
Yeah, it's just I don't know how it moves, but it does. Power steering is almost non-existent. It's like a workout driving my car.
That's perfect. Well, you should drive with some chocolate milk. Every time you turn, you get a sip.
Ooh, I like this.
All right, so what are your neutral zones?
I actually didn't write any neutral. I do not feel neutral about this episode at all.
Okay.
Maybe. Okay. Here, I'll just drop something in the neutral zone for kicks. Corey or Corey or Cora.
She says Corey.
Corey. She does say Corey.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I think she's saying it wrong.
Yeah, I think Issa
we had it
Briones
right.
doesn't know
Yeah.
the name of the character that she is playing.
Yeah.
That tracks. I hate what they're doing with her this season.
You mean the exact same thing they did with her last season?
A little.
Minus
yeah.
the love interest?
I just, Minus the love interest.
father.
But she had more to do. She had like battle stuff to do. She had an arc almost. She was discovering things about her
That's true.
like upbringing and finding out that she was a product of science and not, oh, wait a minute, you're right. It's exactly the same. So it annoys me because I really enjoy Issa Briones. I think as an actor, she can do amazing things. And I don't think they've given her amazing things to do. They've given her a room to live in, and she gets to go outside twice. And that's it. And then somehow she has X-ray vision goggles that she's literally never used before in her life. And also, why does she have them?
Well,
what were they for?
Sense that she would have like a VR headset for someone who can't go outside.
Then, like, she can look through the walls and just see the outside?
No, I think it was like an Oculus where like you can have different environments. You know? Like
but why can she see through walls with it?
I don't, because the plot demands it, Joselyn.
And if you can see through walls, why can't she see through clothes? Oh, that's my other problem with this.
The only other person she's seen.
I know.
Okay.
I know. And excuse me, but it's not like Star Trek Picard has never dipped its toe into the incest pool before.
Yeah.
So you'll have to pardon me as I worry about that for a second. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a character that has lived inside of a single room their entire life could be really interesting. And I feel like that the level of attention that should have been given to her character to really bring that out is not there. And it could have been really good, and she could handle that. She could totally handle that. What was that?
Someone calling us?
Is someone trying to get on the show right now?
I think so.
What? Barbara Whipple, is it you? You want to get...
Kuvix?
What was that?
I have no idea.
Are we being spied on right now?
I couldn't say.
Is it that FBI agent? Sorry, I wasn't going to mention him till my cons. Corey as a character is neutral zone for me, and I just... It's really sad that it's neutral zone because it didn't have to be. It does not have to be. Also, neutral zone. The vial that Q gifts her in an elaborate, unnecessary box, it just should have said, drink me. Just drink me.
Oh, remember that movie, Mom and Dad Save the World with John Lovitz?
Of course I remember
like
that
the
movie.
Secret weapon is...
It's one of the best movies ever made.
It's like a hand grenade that makes you disappear, and all it says is, pick me up. And they're like so dumb that they pick it up.
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, like he like wipes out a whole army because it's like, my secret weapon is like, pick me up. So they pick it up, and it like eradicates them, or I don't know, kills them, or energizes them.
I need to watch that movie again, and I need to force Sean to watch it with me. So. Yes. It's my pick for movie night this week, so I think I'm going to make him watch it.
I think one of our strengths as a family is forcing people to watch movies that we like that we know almost no one else will like.
I think it is one of our strengths.
Yeah.
Like that one Christmas when I forced all of you to watch There Will Be Blood, and I convinced you it was the greatest movie I'd ever seen.
And it was... not good.
And it was amazing, and you all loved it. Couldn't stop talking about it for days.
Acting performance, but I did not enjoy the film. And I did not stop talking about it for days.
I drink your milkshake, is all I have to say to that.
Yeah, well. I think it was Justine, Sister Justine is very good at making people watch a movie that probably only she'll like.
She's the master.
Yeah.
She's the master of it.
But we do have some crossover in movie taste. We watched Idiocracy one year. I don't know if that was
great. Very well received.
Was not a fan of Idiocracy.
Oh.
She said it was too dumb. I was like, well, that's kind of the point.
Well, welcome to Too Dumb, because it all came true.
Oh, man.
Jordan, I imagine you have some pros from this week's episode.
I'm definitely not buying time because my pro list is short. I will say this. I wish that I had really any time I see a scene where someone's ordering something that I would like. I think of like Rebecca Romaine in Discovery where she's ordering a cheeseburger with fries and a milkshake. Like, I really wish I had a replicator, but I am also extremely glad and thankful that I do not have a replicator.
Yes, same.
I kind of like that they added this layer of grief for Rafi because she feels that she manipulated Elnor to an extent. I feel like it's a little forced. I think she is slightly manipulative, but it just adds something to her. They can't have her just be this mean, angry character all the time. They have to add something. So that's somewhat close. And given what happened to Elnor, I think. Oh, jeez. Oh, sorry. That just happens to be my ringtone for when a certain person calls. Too soon?
Too soon, Jordan.
Oh, man. Speaking of Soong, Agnes showing up at Soong's, I thought that could have been like a good way to end either last week's episode or this week's episode. I almost thought the episode was going to end there because we've had some shorter run times, and this one was like 48 minutes. So this was a little longer than some of the previous ones, and I did like that they had the episode ended there. It would have been a pretty rough episode, but the next 5 minutes we get a little bit more. We get some, I wouldn't say closure, but we get a lot more with the FBI agent, and that actually something happens there towards the end after 25 minutes of Picard sitting in a room.
Yes. Always makes for great television
what is
when
this?
Two people are just
Who are you?
asking questions. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man. But I did like that, and it's starting to make sense that Agnes is targeting Soong because Soong has what she needs. He's got the batteries or something. Like,
also, just like very Star Trek of them to make a Soong the ultimate like linchpin for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Like either you get everything you want or you get nothing.
Yeah.
But the world is a much better place.
His ego just can't.
He can't handle it.
Yeah. It's like, how do I make this happen? I just thought Agnes in general was a pro. I think she's been doing a terrific job with everything that they've given her so far this season. I just wish that it was more and that we had seen more of what's going on with her. We see where she tried to simulate a guy in an alley and it did not work out well.
Not well.
And, I think her storyline and the Borg Queen stuff is the most interesting thing going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see where the Soong stuff goes. Towards the end of this episode, it started to go a little sideways, and I'll talk about that later. But I do like kind of what I mentioned before. They're tying the plots together to where Soong and Agnes, now we kind of get an idea of why she's using him, why he's integral to the plot, the Q Guinan stuff, and finding out that Q is either sick or he doesn't really know exactly what's happening, and neither do we, which has really been the same thing since episode 1. And he just speaks in these... It just speaks in a way that people wouldn't speak normally, just riddles, and I don't know. I find that a little tiresome at this point. I wish we would have gotten some progression on that story and let Q have some interactions with people where he's uttering sentences that are not nonsensical. But we will see. And there's only 2 episodes left. So to have these last 3 episodes really just slow down and not do a whole lot with the plot has been concerning at best. Neutral Zone-wise, I would just add in that my wife will usually watch Picard with me, and the one thing that has bothered her this season is how perfect all of the characters' hair look. Especially Jerry Ryan. I think Alison Pill to an extent too, given what she's been through. And Rafi. Like Jerry Ryan.
Their hair is too perfect?
Her hair is perfect. Like curled, it's
just so
perfect.
Yeah.
For someone
Rafi's hair has been banging this season. It is so good. So she can't handle the perfect hair.
She finds it hard to believe, given the circumstances.
Does she find my hair hard to believe since it's so perfect all the time?
Probably.
Since
Yes.
it
She
looks
has
so
voiced her
good.
concerns.
She has voiced. Okay, I knew there was something. I just wasn't sure what it was.
There's something like the suspension of disbelief, and that's a bridge too far.
The hair. Although I can get behind that. The hair is very perfect.
It is.
Considering how much of a, serious situation they're all in. Also, unlike the idea that we're leaps and bounds ahead in tech for food, I have not seen ever on Star Trek the hair technology that I am really needing. And that is like the instant drying that I need from my hair after wash day.
Get it wet. You take a sonic shower, so there's no water.
But I just want to see that.
Okay.
Will the sonic shower, revitalize my curls like I need it to?
We have to wait about 300 years to find out.
Okay. And I really still need, I know I'm crossing over from Star Trek to like just general sci-fi, but I really need the Fifth Element eye makeup camera face thing. You remember
just put
that?
it on and
it goes
like
flash and all your makeup's done. I need that now.
That was pretty cool. That was a pretty good movie.
It's a pretty great little device. The movie is secondly pretty great. Yeah.
I will say as well that they're really trying to give Picard, like you mentioned, this superhero backstory.
Yeah.
Of like this tragic past, and this episode started with like I guess the other guy, the FBI guy's past as well, which is almost like a super villain past.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So I don't know. It's just they're giving us a lot of backstory that I don't care about recently.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. Like what's wrong with present day, and we're trying to save the future, and we keep going backwards to like, well, when I was a boy, it's like no one cares. Let's save now.
We literally just met you. We can't invest. It's the 8th episode out of 10.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll come in handy, but I don't need 20 minutes of you asking bad questions.
Right.
So,
right.
There's also like a line where he asks Picard, like, are you human? Or are you an extraterrestrial? I think is how he words it. Because he says, are you human? The answer is no. So he's like, are you extraterrestrial? Which I don't know if the question is, he kind of is an extraterrestrial. He's in a humanoid body that was created on another planet.
Yeah.
By, I guess, a human scientist, but still, like, I don't know. That question just, I don't know.
It's also just, it sounded so odd to say it that way.
Yes. It's like they had to carefully word it.
Is this a movie from the 1980s, extraterrestrial? Like, what are we talking about here, guys?
Yeah. True. It's 2024. Like, E.T. is it's a
Come on.
TV channel, not a term for aliens. Is it still a TV channel?
E.T.?
Yeah.
I hope so. They have the best news.
Oh.
Things I really care about.
They also, I mean, kudos to the writers because they keep finding new ways to keep Patrick Stewart seated for 20 minutes per episode.
They sure do.
Like, they should just have him break his legs in the first episode of the season so they could just
go full X-Men for him.
Yes. And then he could have gotten hit by that car.
Perfect.
It would have been more believable.
Perfect. Yeah.
I don't know. NCIS Los Angeles 2024 is kind of what this feels more like. We got the interrogation scene. We just need like Ice-T and some white guy who hasn't been relevant for 10 years, but somehow is like a darling to old women that watch CBS at night.
Right. Of course. Like, which is their demographic for sure.
There's always like some random, I'm thinking of a Freddie Prinze Jr., like Los Angeles 2024.
Oh, there we go.
Freddie Prinze Jr. I guess he does like a lot of voice work now, but like not a great actor, but he had some somewhat high profile roles.
Ryan Phillippe, maybe
there you go. Who's the one that played Robin in Batman and Robin?
Oh God,
McConnell
what was his name?
or It doesn't matter.
I don't know. But also Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Let's look into that. Where's that guy,
Living on royalties.
I hope so. Living on that poster money.
Yeah. I've heard enough of Jonathan Taylor Thomas. I vividly remember you having the Lion King soundtrack. And
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I am not really buying the Rios relationship as much as I was. Like, I wanted it to be a thing, and I wanted to progress kind of in as much of an organic way as you can when you're star-crossed lovers separated by 400 plus years.
Yeah.
Anyways. But it's just like, I didn't understand the scene. I rewatched part of it, but she's like, she was talking about, I don't even remember how the conversation came up. Like, I'm having a hard time even recalling, but something about like she walks into a bar and she's known him for 10 years and he tells her something that makes her cry and she's going to have an affair. I'm like, what is going on here?
It was a long journey to get to like what they were wanting to do with that scene. I like that they were creative with it. Okay. It's the Rios doctor kissing scene. We knew we were going to get it.
Yeah.
We wanted it to be unique. They tried to like, it's a weird situation. Maybe there was part of the scene that was like deleted that would have made it a little bit better. I don't know. I enjoyed the attempt at creativity, but like you said, it was just so labored.
Yes.
That it didn't land quite.
It feels like this episode. The writing is very labored to get where they're going. I don't mind where they're going with some of these stories and storylines, but how they get there is just like, oh my gosh. This could have been done twice as fast.
Right.
And given us time to actually watch, story elements and characters that I want to see.
Yeah.
As opposed to just nonsense and a kid eating cake and...
Yeah, which just made me want cake. And I don't have any. And now I'm just reminded of how far we are from replicators.
I have birthday cake. I have a birthday cheesecake.
Where? In your home right now?
Yeah. Soon to be in my belly after we record. I think I'll have some peanut butter cheesecake.
Oh, man. It would take me 16 hours to get there if I got in my car right now?
Roughly, yeah. Yeah.
Plus add a day for when my car breaks down halfway there?
Yes.
Okay.
And if your car breaks down, I can't pick you up because mine already did.
Because yours is already, We're in a real jam here.
The irony of it was I was on my way home from work Friday to go pick up my wife and take her to the dealership to pick up her car.
Oh.
So instead, I had my car towed to the dealership where I have two vehicles residing. So it's been a fun week.
It's been a great week for this guy.
I need a spaceship is what I'm saying. Or just a transporter.
Transporters. Come on. Yeah, can we get on that? God.
Oh, man. Well, Jocelyn, before we get into our cons, let's take a quick break and talk about a podcast.
Oh, my God. I really hope you're going to talk about the Star Trek Wars podcast.
I'm going to talk about the Star Trek Wars podcast. And whether you're into Star Trek, old Trek, new Trek, any Trek, we've got you covered with over 300 episodes spanning, I think, 8 years that we've been covering Star Trek. So any episode you can think of in the Star Trek zeitgeist, we've talked about it, and it's on the feed. So check us out wherever you consume your podcast, which is hopefully not where you consume... Hopefully you don't consume batteries, but we don't judge.
Consume those podcasts. Yum, 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 yum.
Yes, we have a Patreon page as well. So if you want additional content, you go to patreon.com/Star Trek Wars. I know Jeremy and Chelsea just wrapped up their series of going through the top 10 rated episodes by not just us, but our fans on the Facebook page, which is a segue into our Facebook page at facebook.com/groups/Star Trek Wars, where you can engage in conversation, easy for me to say, and vote on weekly polls. And we have some new polls coming up. The polls will be closing soon for Picard, but...
Oh, no.
Yes. Strange New Worlds is coming out in about 10 days, depending on when you listen to this recording. It might have already been out. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much it, Jocelyn. You also follow us on Twitter, which I know you're very excited that we have a Twitter account because you're super active on Twitter.
I'm super active on all the socials. I'm a very social person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why isn't Twitter like I don't know. They should have named it after they should call it like Flapper and it should be a butterfly because isn't like a social butterfly? No one's like, you're a social bird.
Oh, yeah. Good
Yeah.
point.
All right, I'm going to
Or they should have called it like the grapevine.
Oh. Or telephone. Because no one knows what that is.
Well, that could be confusing, yeah. But still, that can work. Maybe we need to start our own social media.
I think we're going to.
Platform. Really? Okay, great. And it's Trek-based?
Definitely.
Okay, and we'll call it the Continuum or the Collective.
Ooh, the Collective, I like that.
Ooh, the Collective. Okay, great. This is great.
Just
we're going to be so rich.
I think the Collective would be a little confusing.
Oh, okay, just Collective or the Collective?
The Collective.
The Collective. Okay, great. I don't know how you make money off of social media, but like we're going to do it and it's going to be like, we're going to have 5 cars. So it won't matter if 2 of them break down. All the car batteries we can eat.
I was just about to say. And car batteries are expensive. I can tell you because I just bought a new car battery.
Yeah,
everything's expensive though, to be fair.
Everything's expensive, but so delicious.
I might buy chickens just so I don't have to buy eggs anymore. Like Oh man. All right, let us get to our cons, Joselyn.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, first up in my cons, and you may have picked up on this too, but it's something that is just making watching this show an absolute nightmare for me, and it's something that like I don't know if I can get over, and they need to change it if I'm going to continue to watch Star Trek, and that is the Paramount Plus app.
Oh man.
I hate this thing. I hate the Paramount Plus app. A new thing it's doing now is every time I go to the app, it makes me sign on all over again.
It does that to me too.
It's doing that to you too?
Every time.
It's so ridiculous. And then you get on the app and it didn't remember that I had watched episode 7 somehow, even though I watched it twice.
Yeah.
And then you click on it, you get the circle of death. You have to exit. I had to go to Netflix, start watching a show I did not care about, and then go back to the Paramount app because I thought somehow maybe that would help. And it did. And then it started working. But it is a pain. It is a pain. And on this, just like to go on a side tangent for like 30 seconds, I do not like the way that streaming services are going. We used to have Netflix, and Netflix had like most things on it. Yeah. And then you had Amazon Prime, and Hulu, and those were it. And everything was on one of those things, or you had cable. Then Disney branches off. Then Apple TV branches off. Then Paramount branches off, and
Peacock
NBC and what?
Peacock, Hulu,
and Peacock, yeah, all of it. And now you have to like spend $10 to $15 HBO Max just to have the shows. We're going back to the model of cable again, where it's $60 a month. Just so you can escape the reality of your life,
and now you need
into a much darker reality.
8 things.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not into it, and I'm annoyed, especially when these apps are so bad. They're just so cumbersome and so bad to use. And I want Paramount Plus to be better because I really like my Trek, and I really love my RuPaul's Drag Race, and that is literally all I watch on this app.
Yeah, and it's the only place you can get Star Trek now, because the contract was up except for like the 400 discs of Star Trek that I own. But still, like, who wants to do that?
But who has a DVD player anymore? I mean, weird, right?
Yeah, that's right. Never mind.
I have a PS5, but I got the, the Gen Z version.
Digital only.
Where there's, exactly. Because I'm very young and cool and hip, and no one is challenging me on that. Anyway, Paramount Plus app, you can just sit on a rotten egg or whatever because I don't like you, and you're making my life very difficult.
Yeah, I had the same experience. And it's not just like, hey, we forgot you. It's like, hey, go to this website and then enter in this code.
Yeah.
That will also be hieroglyphic in nature. It's like, what? I don't even have those symbols on my phone. To go 15 pages
do I need to
deep.
Capitalize these letters or will lowercase do? Like, I don't even know.
What? Like, what?
Oh my God. I don't I don't get it. I don't know why they're doing it. I don't know how it helps anything or anybody, and I'm over it, and please stop. Also, I already mentioned Corey having these X-ray vision goggles that we've literally never seen before, but I also think in this episode, her going outside and feeling the grass on her feet could have been super impactful if we hadn't seen her do it already in a previous episode.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of a missed opportunity that really summarizes the missed opportunity of her character overall this season. Rios is smoking a cigar again, and I'm sorry, I gotta mention, it just bothers me so much because I know, here's the thing, I work in a hospital. I work in essentially the basement.
People are smoking cigars.
A lot in the hospital all the time. Oh, every doctor.
You also work in the 1960s, apparently.
I also work in the 1960s. They're always in their offices smoking their cigarettes and pouring themselves drinks from the bar cart. But
that's why we brought you on. You're an expert in time travel.
Exactly. Thank you. So I work in the emergency department, which is always like essentially the basement of a hospital. There's like hardly any windows. So I go outside for my break. I get 30 minutes per 12-hour shift to be outside. And I live in an area where it's mostly nice out in the shade, almost year round. And I go outside, and almost every time on our non-smoking campus, someone is always smoking and talking on their phone on speaker.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me started on people talking on their phone on speaker.
Like, I'm sorry. You are not filming Keeping Up with the Kardashians right now. You do not need to have your friend on speaker while you smoke a cigarette on my break. Like, how dare you? Anyway, no one's thinking of me when I'm on my break. But when he smokes the cigar on the show, I can smell it. I can almost smell it. And it ruins the show to me the same way that a random person on their speakerphone with a cigarette like ruins my lunch break.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a lot of like projection onto the writers of the show, but please stop giving people cigars as a way to enhance their personality instead of finding other ways to make them unique. Moving on. The FBI agent, I know he's been in a lot of stuff, and I know he's a legit actor, and he's been in Voyager before, and I know he's been in other stuff.
I'm sensing a butt coming.
But big ol' juicy butt.
Oh, God.
I found him incredibly annoying in this episode. I found him annoying.
Yeah.
And I think the setup for his character was
punchable face.
A stretch, such a punchable face. Yeah. That was it right there. There's a German word. There's a German word for someone who has a punchable face. Did you know this?
Something Kampf.
I don't know. Kampf is head in German.
Punch Kampf. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a punch Kampf. Yeah. No, it's a very long German word, and I don't know why I know this fact, but I don't know the word. Seems like I could have Googled it before we recorded, but I digress. There's like a term, and he has that.
Yeah.
I don't condone violence. I never condone anyone punching any other person. But I don't know if I saw this guy, I might punch him.
So you didn't watch the Tyson Fury fight this weekend?
Oh, you mean his trip on an airplane?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. No, not interested. The flight attendant is the closest I get to watching, action on a plane. So, it's very different. Anyway, FBI agent doing his best, falling short. Q. The whole Q thing, I actually love when they take Q's power away. Because then you just got this guy who's freaking out. And that's, especially with it being John Delancey, it's super fun to watch. But you put Q back in time, you strip him of all his power, and yet somehow he's a NASA therapist and an FBI agent? Like how? How did you manage, how? How did he pull that off? I mean, I know he's a white guy in 2024, but still. There are limits.
Maybe you could ask him what that German word is. I'm sure he would know.
I'm sure he would know. It's really hard to get my mind around. And if he had some power, it would make more sense. But we don't know. And if we got a whole episode where they showed us how he pulled this off and it was very entertaining, I'd be into it. But I'm not into it because it just seems convenient. It just seems like something they did because they needed Q and Guinan to have a conversation. Fine. And speaking of Guinan, we get the Stranger Things moment where she's projecting herself through a wall.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if we've ever seen Guinan do that before. I didn't know she could do that.
That would be new.
That's a new thing. I'm not opposed to new things. I'm just saying it just seems like the universal sign for someone who's struggling to do something very hard is bleeding out of a single nostril. Yeah. And I have yet to determine any medical reason why that would be the case.
Well, I think I can help you with that, Jocelyn.
You can help me with this?
I know you're a medical professional, but I feel it is my goal to explain medical things to you.
Oh, please go on. I can't wait for this.
That I have some understanding of the brain, having one myself. Some would argue. But when your brain is working very, very hard, your brain runs on blood. Your whole body runs on blood, really. So when you're working, extra hard, there's only one place for that blood to come out, really. Well, the closest place, which is your nose holes.
Your nose hole.
Yeah, so when your brain is working very hard, it's really a sign of intelligence.
Okay.
So
okay.
I do get common nosebleeds, not bragging.
How do you think, in this medical theory of yours, which sounds well-researched and peer-reviewed,
Thank you.
How do you think that the blood escapes the blood-brain barrier that is present in the brain and spinal column and separates it as an internal circulatory system from the rest of the body?
Yes, these are excellent questions. I thought you might ask them, so I did prepare a statement, but we do need to get on with the cons because we're running very short on time.
We do need to move on, I understand. Well, that pretty much sums up my cons. Jordan, I can't wait to hear yours.
Fantastic. Thanks for asking. Rafi and Seven Drama con. I know that you kind of liked it, but I'm so sick of them just having... There's like some moments that they're fighting that are kind of funny, but really it's just like Rafi saying something hurtful to Seven and then Seven giving it back and then Rafi not being able to take it and then pretending like she's not hurt and nothing's wrong even though something is wrong and they're not going to talk about it for another episode or two.
I see.
And it's just that every week. So
it's the Niles and Daphne conundrum.
Sure.
You hated that.
Yeah.
In Fraser. That was like
Mostly.
Something that almost made you stop watching Fraser was the Niles and Daphne, will they, won't they?
They dragged it out.
Drama.
A little long. For sure.
Yeah.
The interview scene, and I just wrote the interviewer guy because I didn't care to look too much up. I know he's been in a lot of stuff. Yeah. He's been in things that I haven't seen. He's probably been in a few things I have seen. He might be great.
Definitely.
In this, he was not. That's all I care about is, what have you done for me lately? And what he has done for me lately is suck in this episode and be a very annoying character who's taking away screen time from stuff that I actually want to see.
Agent Wells.
Well...
Played by Jay Carnes.
He did not do very well in this episode.
He did not do that well, no.
It's very unwell. I don't know. He didn't bring anything to the story, except one thing that I'll talk about later, but seemed unnecessary. And that whole interview scene, like, again, this just doesn't feel like a Star Trek story when you have Picard in an interrogation room. Like, Little Green Men is a good example of a sci-fi story taking place in the past where there's like interrogation scenes, but it's funny because you have Ferengi and because it's the 1960s and they're hamming it up and there's a ton of smoking in that episode. I think you'd love it, Joselyn.
I should probably go watch it now.
Watch it right now. I would watch it on your 30-minute break.
Yeah, there we go. That'll set the scene.
I don't really like watching in 4D. I don't really like the weird, creepiest vibe that they're going for with Guinan. Like, anytime she uses her powers, there's like these weird voices or nosebleeds or... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that fits the tone. It fits the tone of, I guess, Q-Who, the episode, when we see that, but not most of what we see Guinan do in The Next Generation. There's also like a very, almost like hippie-ish mysticism to her as well.
Yeah, I don't love that.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they do that in particular, like, I'm not sure like how to say this, but I feel like in shows, especially with Black women, everything has to be voodoo.
Yeah.
And that's kind of gross of them to do.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Because Guinan to me, and I know we have it's a young Guinan, relatively speaking. So she'll be a little more impulsive and a little more, emotional. And I like that. Sure. But Guinan is like, she's very powerful, but it's like this restrained, reserved awareness that she has. And I just don't feel like they're giving that to this character.
I agree. Yeah, there's some creative license that you can have, but there's to me, the characters are almost unrelatable at this point. I'm not saying she's doing a bad job, but I just don't like the direction that they've taken. I think she's had too much screen time, honestly. It's Star Trek Picard, but I think Guinan has more screen time than Patrick Stewart and more to do and more words.
And yet she's almost done and said nothing.
Correct.
And that is no more like obvious than in the final scene where Picard is in the bar, and what is Guinan doing while they're having that conversation? She's sweeping.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's sweeping in the bar.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I don't think so.
She did make a mess the last time we saw things.
She did make a huge mess. It's true.
Really her fault for being a bartender and having powers that make glass shatter. Like, come on. Think it through, guys. Well, you kind of segued into my next point, which is most of the dialogue in this show and the characters, it just goes in circles. The plot is also somewhat going in circles, which they've taken a bit of a detour this week, but no one talks the way that they're talking in this show. It's all like mysterious because the writers want to hide the fact that they're not doing much with the plot. And so
it does feel like that.
Speaking riddles, so it seems like something's happening.
Right. So it seems all secrety and like, oh, plot twist.
Here's an example of what I mean by like people don't talk like this. And Picard says, "What am I to you?" to this guy. This guy's like talking. He says, "What am I to you?" Like, who the heck would say that? And then the FBI guy, Agent Wells, he says, "You're the monster in the dark. You're the thing I fear most." Like, who talks like that?
No one.
No one says that. That's writer speak. Like, maybe like, "What do you want from me?"
Right.
But no, I don't know. Yeah, everyone speaks in like riddles. I also feel that we touched on this last week, that Soong being surprised in any way whatsoever that his unencrypted and incriminating files that were perfectly labeled and dated on the desktop of his computer 10 feet from where his daughter lives her entire life. This, just like, come on.
She just airdrops it to her, like, iPad. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, encrypt something, put a password on. I mean, if your security is like 2 levels below Paramount Plus, that's a problem.
That's a huge problem. This in the last scene, I guess, in my last comment, I'll talk about. It's like verging on turning into a high-budget fan fiction film at this point, because that last scene with Girardi assimilating the G.I. Joes was not great. Yeah. The soldier's attitude and delivery of his line was not great.
And they're all just standing there while she does this freaky thing.
Looking like they walked off the set of G.I. Joe. I was going to say the title of a G.I. Joe film, but Rise of the Cobra, maybe? Is that one?
Yeah.
I don't know that something I saw that Cobra. One, but I saw some of the first one. I was like, yeah, no, this is not what I want to do with my time. And then the way she assimilates them by like touching their face, and then they turn green, and there's bad effects, and then they freeze.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing more terrifying than the way the Borg were, where they stick tubules into your neck, and then you see like the veins and crap like in your face changing in a very non-CGI way. Like, I mean, it clearly is CGI, but there's something very visceral about it. It looks very real, and it looks like you're changing on a biological level, not just a computerized level as well. So I don't know, that scene just played weird, and even like Brent Spiner's reaction was very like, "What have I gotten myself into?" Which wasn't bad, but just felt like a B movie. I'm concerned.
Which Star Trek often does, even historically, and that's part of the charm. But everything else has to match that.
Yeah, the tone is just not.
It's highly variable in tone, and that is confusing.
Oh, man. Well, Jocelyn, I think that's all the cons that we have. Maybe there are some fans that have some cons. Maybe there's fans that have pros. I don't know. Do you find any?
I found some cons.
Oh, okay.
In the basement.
That's what I thought.
Do you want to go to the basement first?
Nope.
No? Okay. Sounds like a yes to me. All right. Well, I'll go, and then I'll see you in a minute.
Well, there's only enough power in the transporter for one.
Oh, I see. Because someone ate the battery.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
You don't know what any of this is about, do you?
That's my basement soundbite for this week. Anyway, IMDb, the comment section is absolute basement material every time. It doesn't matter if someone's giving it a 1 or a 7. It's all basement. But I did pull this snippet from a user whose name really doesn't matter, so I didn't write it down. But this person, Jordan, they've hacked this. They found a system after paragraph of kind of just disparaging this episode. They said that they've developed their own sort. I've developed my own sort of speed viewing method. Just watch the previously on opening segment, then find a good plot summary somewhere, and you're good.
That's the Yellowstone method.
So
that's your Yellowstone method.
I don't even give Yellowstone that much effort. This person is reviewing this episode after watching the previously on and then reading a summary of the episode from just literally anywhere on the internet. That is my problem.
Yeah, that's a problem.
My problem is people jumping on these sites like IMDb and reviewing a show that they
haven't even put in the work.
They haven't put in the work. I watch these episodes sometimes twice. Okay? I put in a lot of thought and effort. And for them to just be like, yeah, find a summary online. No. Get out of the comments section. Stop watching. Go back to your CSI Miami. Like, that's the show for you, okay? You need a good procedural with, like, very basic characters, and that's it. That's all you need. Go watch Yellowstone, okay? Go watch a show only basic bitches like.
Whoa, hey.
Did you see, speaking of Yellowstone, did you see Amazon Prime has a new show? I thought of you because I thought of Yellowstone when I saw it. And it's called something like, oh man, I swear I was going to remember the name of it. Rugged Country, or it's not that. Open Range, or like something like that.
Oh, no.
And it's so clearly like a Yellowstone grab.
Oh, jeez.
It's so obvious, and I bet it's so bad. Anyway, let's get out of the basement.
Good idea.
I want to hear from actual fans of the show. You ready for that?
I think I'm ready for that. I think we should do
You think you're ready for that? Okay. You want me to start?
Sure.
All right. We're going to start with Wayne Fraser. Wayne says, after a disappointing first season, I was extremely happy to see them course correct in season 2, but it has really dropped the ball these last 3 episodes. There is such a strong foundation here, far more firm than that of season 1, but they just waste so much time on inconsequential story beats. Now, that is completely subjective, so I will say they have given short shrift to the potentially strong aspects of the story. Just like Discovery, they seem scared to propel the story forward for fear of the finale not blowing the minds of its audience in an orgy of action, set pieces, and massive revelations they think will have more impact than it inevitably does. Do we think we will get a coherent explanation for why this divergence happened and why the crew had to go back in time, or will it be papered over by a series of nonsensical non sequiturs, likely provided by Q, that appear to have a deeper meaning? It was nice to see Elnor again, and it illustrates how much the show misses a character like him, providing his unique perspective.
Yeah, Orgy of Action, I believe, is Steven Seagal's new film coming out summer 2022.
Wow, they keep giving that guy films, huh?
Well, he made his own film studio, so you can't really stop him.
I see.
And also, speaking of actors sitting down in their scenes, Steven Seagal makes films, has about 4 minutes of screen time in the films, has a body double do all of the stunts and even like the punches, and then sits in every film and becomes harder and harder to understand. Like, he just is too lazy to even open his mouth to speak in most cases. So just like, it's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah, it's dubbed over by someone who has like a full vocabulary.
Yes.
I want a job like that. Why can't my job be that?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
I want a stunt double to do all my work.
You have to make like one semi-well-received movie, bank the money, invest in a studio, and then make a lot of crappy movies that somehow make you small sums of money. But if you make enough of them,
the second half of that would be much easier.
Like 14
than
movies
the
a year,
first.
you can probably make some money. So
it's all sitting anyway. Sometimes Jordan has to mute because he's talking to his children who have come into the room uninvited. And he has to tell them that Daddy's busy and he'll be with them as soon as he can. But Star Trek comes first.
That's right.
Star Trek comes first. Family comes second.
Oh, man. Yeah, we're about to go to a pool party here shortly. So,
I bet they're so excited.
Oh, they are. So am I.
Okay.
My Taco Cat trunks.
The Taco Cat.
Yeah, they're pretty awesome. It's what it sounds like. Chris Rowell says, bear with me here, but you know in Raiders of the Lost Ark that Indiana Jones has no bearing on the outcome of the story, whether in the movie or not. The Nazis still get the Ark, they open it, all die. Getting the same vibes from Q this season. Getting the same vibes from Picard this season, honestly. What is the point? What part of the plot is he critical to? It's all a little befuddling at the moment. I thought for sure I was about to see T'Pol in Carbon Creek, but that disappointed. Clearly, that's an Enterprise reference.
I figured.
Okay. So, Carbon Creek is episode of Enterprise, very good, where Vulcans crash land on Earth, but they have to hide the fact that they're Vulcans, and they live like in this community in the 50s?
That's the episode where everyone's wearing a lot of flannel?
Sounds right.
Yeah.
And they have to come up with a way to find money, so they invent Velcro, which is like a very Vulcan awesome thing. It's a pretty good episode. So yeah.
That's pretty funny.
But the timeline doesn't. Well, he'll talk about it here. Clearly, their regard for temporal prime directives no longer exists. The acting performances are what has saved it for me the last couple of weeks. Santiago, Allison, and Brent, they're all just fabulous. Although the writing for Rafi is questionable, Michelle gives 100% to everything. 5 for the progression of the story, 9 for the performances, for an overall 7.
Nice. Yeah. And Mike Schmidt says, after last week, it didn't take much to have a better episode, but it still had room for improvement. I keep hoping for a great explanation of the Q and Guinan relationship, so at least it was somewhat satisfying to see her brace herself with her hands when they shared a scene together.
Keith Danforth says, another week, another episode where we get to see some good moments, but nothing cohesive or connecting enough to want to care about still. Queen Jurati dropped a few hints of how the fascist future comes to be, but still not enough for me to really connect the dots until I know what is on Europa, and just how Soong's work brings about the future. Mostly because the show hasn't seen fit to establish the connections between Adam Soong in 2024 to Eric Soong in 2154, to Noonien Soong in 2367, and Alton Indigo Soong in 2399. I feel this is kind of important because for much of as Picard is about Picard, they seem to really be making this Brent Spiner's magnum opus with his Soong characters. I want this, and it's at that point I realize if they embrace the story fully, this could have been a much different and much more interesting show, even with the Borg included, because they are also part of the Great Soong Link. As for Q dying, I don't know what to make of that yet. Obviously, Quinn and the story exist, as does the Q Civil War, so we know they're capable of death. It stands to reason there may be a condition beyond immortality, or he's choosing this path on his own. Q games being what they are, I imagine they're going... Oh, God, Q games. Is it like reindeer games, only Q's played by Ben Affleck?
Yeah.
I want to see that movie.
No.
Q games being what they are, I imagine they're going to be more Q twists before we understand the Q plot. FBI Duquesne, man. I expected nothing, and I was still let down. That might be just the perfect quote for that character. I was really hoping that was going somewhere. But it was just an I want to believe kid, which was still wholesome, don't get me wrong, and hopefully he makes one more power play before this is all over. I wanted to believe too, kid. And Rafi, I know I've been hard on Rafi this season, but that's only because they're supremely wasting Michelle Hurd's talents. I can buy Rafi being manipulative. I can even buy her being moody because she made wrong, selfish decisions. But there's just no hint of Starfleet adversity to her like there is in others. And that's what makes her unfun to watch, especially when she attempts to gaslight and girl boss Seven, who doesn't take your shit any day, any timeline. She is definitely lucky Girardi saved her. 6 car batteries consumed for delicious lithium ions out of 10 new Borg recruits.
And William Jenks says, I found myself liking bits of this episode over and over, but also somehow feeling not fully satisfied. It just seems like there are too many coincidences and too many half plots. That said, if you go scene by scene in isolation, there are a lot of fun things here. Perhaps the best development was the one in the closing scene where Agnes apparently assimilates a dude. In contrast to some of the slow-down episodes of Disco, where it seemed like really nothing was happening besides a lot of emoting, in this episode there are a million small things happening, each of which might have been a whole show or at a major plot point of a show with an A and B plot. That makes these episodes more watchable for me. But an hour later, I realized some of the shortcomings. I found the season entertaining, but those first couple episodes felt awesome, and I was ready for a great season. We still have a couple episodes for a great finish, but they don't seem to have found a way to maintain the promise of the first couple shows throughout the middle here. As in the past couple weeks, there are numerous small quibbles I could bring up, but I'll mention only one, the Soong genetic line. This Soong seems old enough that there is little likelihood of baby boy Soong, who is going to look just like his father for multiple generations to come. If I hadn't seen all the other Spiner Soongs, I think I'd be more on board with this one. In isolation, he's fine, but what's the deal with all the psychopathic Soongs that all look exactly the same, and this one doesn't even have a spouse? For the record, his daughter in this series doesn't look anything like him. Maybe we're going to learn that he clones himself. I have no complaint against Spiner the actor, but I'm just feeling like he's playing a variation on the same part one too many times. 6 out of 23 human chromosomes.
Joseph Adams says, the plot's moving forward again, and I like that. Bit annoyed that my Picard was wrong about his ancestor thingy. Bit annoyed that my Picard was wrong about the ancestor thingy was wrong, but theories are brittle like that. And having Soong being part of the time split, and Girardi Queen hybrid's manipulation of that is interesting. I just don't quite get what Q is doing. Neither do we. I assume he didn't intend the Borg Queen to hijack his own plan, and I'm still wondering what the penance is for. Yeah, they definitely have a long way to go on the Q plot, and again, 2 episodes to do it. So the next 2 episodes better blow our mind, but I think that's what Wayne Fraser is saying, is like, Wayne Fraser says, they want to put everything in the finale to blow our mind, and that's what they do, like every season with Discovery and with Picard last year, but it doesn't work.
And it's a whole season.
Yes.
You can't just put it all in one episode. Like, we watch it for the season, not for the last episode.
Yeah.
So otherwise I would just find, summaries online of every episode and then watch the finale. Yeah. But I don't do that because I'm a fan. Barbara Whipple says, this episode was more fun to watch than the last one, but then a lot of it doesn't make sense. How can Q say he has no powers and still take over as the FBI officer or make magic potions for Core and appear to her in a headset? How can Guinan appear to Picard in a vision? Why do the goons stand by and let Agnes assimilate them? And I did not like her pulling a Darth Vader trick by holding Raffi up by the neck. But I did like Seven tracking her down, and I liked the FBI guy. It would be fun to have him on again. It would have been better if he'd been a cop like Chris and Keith speculated last week, but seeing Vulcans was an interesting twist. Yeah, Q has somehow become like a groundbreaking geneticist and an FBI agent and a NASA therapist and a computer hacker.
They'll have to explain that. If they don't, yeah, that's a huge con for me. But we don't know what's going on with Q, so I can't really hold it against them to this point because there might be an explanation. But I will say, anyone who is like an omnipotent being that loses their powers would probably suck at everything because they're so used to just snapping their fingers and getting their way. So
exactly,
there's got to be some explanation for how he can just do all of this.
Yeah.
This last fan, Jeremy Reed says,
Jeremy Reed?
Yeah, guys, I didn't care much for this one. That's a no for me, dog. This episode is, of course, named after Uncle Jesse's catchphrase, "Have mercy." But in reality, it's more like Uncle Joey's because, like most of the scenes this week, they should have cut it out. So before you say, "How rude," let me jump to my point.
Oh my God.
I'm going to do this. Oh man, I thought for 1 second I got my sitcoms mixed up, but I was going to say I was going to break this down step by step, but
close enough.
So close.
I'll give it to you.
At first, I thought it'd be cool if the FBI agent saw the Vulcans from Carbon Creek, but unfortunately the timeline just doesn't add up. Unless the Confederation timeline changed the history so those Vulcans crashed in the 70s instead of the 50s. I'll tell you what I did like. The actor playing Guinan. I think she's doing a really good job here. Oh, and Brent Spiner gave a great performance this week. As for the Q dying storyline, I'm intrigued but nervous. Gonna have to see how that plays out first before making a decision. So are the writers intentionally making Raffi insufferable this year so no one will miss her when she's not part of the cast in the final season?
Is she not?
That's speculation. Because yikes, terrible writing 101. Have a character go 2 seasons without being manipulative, then realize you need the character to be manipulative this week.
Yes.
So have the character tell another character, as you well know, I'm very manipulative. Then cut to a new flashback showing the character being manipulative. Effing yikes. What a waste of Michelle Hurd. Oh, and I started a drinking game at the beginning of this season. I take a shot every time Picard isn't sitting down. The good news is I've been sober for 6 weeks. Give it a 5. A 5. If he really dies, will Jean-Luc deliver the Q-logy?
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, Jocelyn, it is time to rate
That's gonna take me a
this
while
week's
to digest.
episode. Much like dairy, my body is still trying to
Right.
to digest
Just
that.
like 4 replicated cakes, it's gonna take a while to process.
Not going down easy. What do you give this week's episode, Jocelyn, rating-wise? I know you're thinking about it. I know it's a high number.
It's not a low number.
Okay.
Because last week I gave a 6. And again, I get kind of stuck in basing my rating for this week off of what I've rated previously. And I enjoyed this episode better objectively. I saw more of the characters that I like. Yeah. And so I gave it a 7. 7 extra 12-hour shifts. And that is how much money I would spend on that red Girardi dress.
Nice.
And that's not a small amount of money.
No. I would give it kind of the same boat. I think I kind of enjoyed this. I dislike some of the scenes more than a lot of last week, but there's more that I did like this week, so it's almost a wash. I gave a 5.5, so I'll give it a 6. I'm going to trust that they're going to pay some of this off next week, whereas the previous week did not progress the plot the way this episode did. It took it a while, but this one finally got going. So I'll give it a 6 dead batteries. The council on the Facebook page give it a average score of a 6.12, or a total score of a 6.12. So the overall average comes out to 6.37. So respectable, but definitely trending downward recently with Picard. So we have 2 more weeks to make this up, to make up some ground, Jocelyn. What happens next week or next time or in your deleted scene?
Well, I have it on good authority that in addition to Strange New Worlds, they are working on another spinoff that is going to involve Jeri Ryan reprising her character as Seven, but it's actually a mashup. It's a crossover series with Stranger Things. So it's the girl from Stranger Things and Jeri Ryan, and they're fighting crime inside of a convenience store, and it's called 7-Eleven.
Oh. I thought you were going to call it Stranger New Worlds.
No.
7-Eleven.
It's very clearly called 7-Eleven.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
I think it's going to be great. It's going to be very entertaining.
Waffles and Slurpees. That's interesting.
What about you?
It's Stranger Things season 4 is coming out this summer, apparently. And the kids all are like 5 years older. It's kind of...
They're in college now, I think.
I know. It's been so long. So my next time on is more of like... more of me wishing. And speaking of wishing, that Vulcan looked like someone ordered Dave Bautista on Wish.com. I don't know if you noticed that, but so you play Dave Bautista, famous wrestler, obviously, but he plays Drax, the Destroyer on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, yeah.
He was in Dune as well.
Yes, I love that
He's
guy.
hilarious. And I think he would like make, maybe ironically, maybe unironically, a great Vulcan. Because you'd have like this buff, deadpan Vulcan.
Instead of like a mathlete Vulcan, which is all of them?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so that'd be great. Contrast. Like if a jock was accidentally born a Vulcan.
Mm-hmm. Or he could even be like a evil like Romulan. He could play a bad guy. He's got range. But I think like as a deadpan, like super smart Vulcan that just happens to be completely ripped out of his mind for no apparent reason. He just goes to the desert and lifts stones to help him concentrate or something. But yeah, I really want to see that because I paused. It's like, that looks like Dave Bautista's scrawnier brother or something.
Yeah.
Or just a normal brother, I guess.
Or they were twins and Bautista got like all the nutrients in the womb.
He just sucked up all the dairy.
Yeah.
All the chocolate milk.
All the chocolate milk.
His brother got regular milk. He got chocolate milk. So, yeah, definitely Arnold Schwarzenegger, Danny DeVito thing going on there. And then I wanted to ask you if a character, I was thinking about writing a novel. It would probably be like a fantasy novel, but like there would be the main protagonist would be a young girl who ingests metals, and it gives her like abilities.
Oh, like magic powers?
Yeah.
I know. Okay. What if different metals give you different kinds of powers?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then like, okay.
It's like an A battery you can like maybe lift an object, but like a triple,
right.
I guess it gets stronger the higher you go. I already messed up. A D battery lets you power a boombox for like 10 minutes.
Exactly. And everyone has to dance and it's like
but
a total
car
thing.
battery, you can like control a whole world with that juice.
Oh my God. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure no one's thought of this and made a hugely successful franchise out of it. So this is good. Let's go forward with this.
There's no way.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, well, Jocelyn, I have a huge announcement before we go. It's the same as the huge announcement I gave last week. That's not a huge announcement, but it's an announcement. And I'm calling it huge because, let's be real, a new Star Trek show is coming in about 10 days. So just over a week, we will be reviewing Strange New Worlds, Jeremy, Chelsea, and myself. I believe May 4th. Or maybe it's May 3rd. I have already forgotten. Dang it. But
It's soon, though.
It's very soon. I think it's the 5th, actually.
It's happening.
They should have done it on Star Wars Day just to be like, we're the number
Mess
one
with 'em.
franchise. But I believe it's May 5th because it will be on a Thursday, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, exciting times.
Either way.
We will have crossover that week in a huge crossover event, much like the DC Marvel idea Jocelyn's been pitching for a decade. We will have 2 episodes coming at you, Strange New Worlds and the Picard finale, which is sure not to disappoint. And I heard a rumor, Jocelyn, Jeremy, hold on to your seat, because Picard will not be sitting in one in the finale. He's actually going to stand up. So
we'll leave it when I see it.
That's the plot twist. All right. Well, that's all I've got,
God.
Jocelyn. Anything you want to add before we get to the penultimate episode next week?
No, I'm excited, and I have great hope and faith that this is going somewhere very
Where's the
fulfilling.
faith come from? From your heart?
I don't know. The collective, I guess.
So you don't have faith in the heart.
We can all lean on each other in this. Draw faith from each other, just like Girardi draws energy from car batteries.
Perfect. Don't we all? All right, Jocelyn, it's been a pleasure. Until next week, we will be back to review the 9th and penultimate episode of Picard Season 2 and what episode it's going to be. Until then, computer and program.
Thanks for listening to Star Trek Wars.